So here I am again. Wow. It's amazing to me. It's just amazing to me. And I love your faces. I love seeing your faces. I'll speak louder, I guess. Well, I want you to be able to see me speak. I don't want the microphone to be... But of course, if I move around, it can change. Everything changes. Everything changes. I think I copied this too small, and so I need to use my, my glasses today. Discoveries through pain and suffering. I spend a lot of time reading and thinking and listening, and I've become more aware of pains in my body. And actually, it's not recent. 6 years ago, I became aware that I had Parkinson's disease, which is a chronic neurological disease in my brain. I wonder what it's doing there. I started a small amount of medication, and fortunately, I really feel extraordinarily blessed that the disease has not, still exists because I shake, but it's not progressing, which with certain people it certainly does. I had a hard time walking, and I've gotten some exercises, and I feel good in my walking, that in ways that I have not felt good in my walking for a long time. And then, but a year after the Parkinson's was discovered, I discovered cancer. And 2 years later, I was cancer-free, but it was very painful. It was very stressful. It was, you know, when you're faced with the question, am I going to live or am I going to die? It's pretty, it's intense, and you learn a lot. I learned a lot from my pain. But what's interesting is that I discovered recently that I'm not finished discovering pain, and mostly at this time it's more emotional pain. It's more of a, what am I creating in my thoughts that's holding me back, or that's keeping me, what am I what am I repressing that needs to come out? And it needs to come out in good ways, like public speaking. So as over the years I've struggled with public speaking, and coming to realize that this is the way that I can move through many things. So I had really thought that I had done most of my forgiveness work of my parents, which of course, for all of us, I think is pretty profound. I had a client once who said, no, I've had a perfect life. And, but that was only one person I've ever known. Only one person I've ever known. But pain does teach us. Physical pain teaches us. Emotional pain teaches us a lot. I became aware of, I became aware of just how much compassion has opened my world in different ways. I much more attend to the relationships that I love. and the compassion I have for humanity, and to reach out into the world and find ways to be loving, and knowing that I'm surrounded by angels all the time. And even with that, I notice how much I complain, and trying to just be aware of the complaints I have, and I want to explore today ways that we can, things that we can actually do to find more balance in our lives. And so you may agree with some of these things. You may practice some of these things. You may not agree with some of these things. Because the first thing I did when I realized I had cancer, when I was diagnosed with cancer, I said, I'm going to share this. And the other thing I did was I offered no resistance. People said, "Oh, you're a great warrior against cancer," and I said, "No, I'm not. I don't know what I was, but I was just a student. I was just a student of my process." And I have so much. I'm realizing I have so much more work to do. It was just amazing. So I try to offer no resistance, because I think fighting, even in our political climate, if we have this idea that we're fighting something, it's going to increase our anxiety. And it's harmful. It's just basically harmful to us physically, emotionally, and it's harmful to us mentally. According to Aaron and Barbara Brodsky, the world is becoming more balanced, and we may not see it. We may say to ourselves, this is getting worse before it's getting better. And I was thinking as I wrote that, I said, well, haven't we been working on this for thousands of years? Since the beginning of Buddhism, or even before with Hinduism. Relax. We're okay. We will be okay. We will all be okay. Because we are angels in earth suits, and we have come to explore what this means. We have come to explore. We have come to enjoy what we see here, what we find here. But it takes work. It takes work. And there are so many levels of making all that work for us. So as we're relaxing, we're trying to get to a place of neutrality, but we're expressing our anger, we're expressing our grief, and we're feeling it. We feel it. So we have to find ways to process negative feelings without making it difficult for everyone around us. We have to not feel guilty, but feel free to apologize when necessary. Even choosing a different way. I was reading in the 70s, I began to read the Seth material. And he talks about so clearly that we create our own reality. And we do. So we need to take everything we see, hear, touch, smell to a higher level, to that spiritual level. So Richard Rohr, who opened the Center for Action and Contemplation in Albuquerque, New Mexico many years ago, says, "Life disappoints us all. Let's have respect for the normally inaccessible sadness that each of us carries." So it seems that we're disappointed, we're sad. I have noticed the sadness that I do carry. We need compassion. I don't have answers. I just have, let's explore the process. Let's explore the sadness. Extend compassion to ourselves and others. Where each of us is doing our best that as we can right now, and we need to respect each other for our choices that we're making every day. It's not easy, but it can be peaceful. It can be amusing. I'm watching us and trying to choose humor, trying to choose being amused by my awareness as it comes. I have a story. Let's see, I have a few stories. And of course, it's helpful to look at things from the Buddhist point of view. I really enjoy Buddhism. I listened to Jack Kornfield on, what is that? I'll think of it in a minute. On my phone and on my computer. And we are not our pain. We are divine sons and daughters of God who lives in us. I ran across a quote, which is basically what Layla told us last Sunday. If you can't see God in everything, you can't see God in anything. So Barbara Brodsky again has some powerful teachings from Aaron, and this is one that I'm reminded of so important. This is important to me. The part of us that is aware of pain is not in pain. So above all, we have our awareness. The part of us that is aware of fear is not afraid. And the part of us that is aware of our loneliness is not lonely. So that's our spiritual self, and that's our choice to remember how we can choose. We can every day in every way. We can choose this. So I get a message from Aaron every day. If you go to deepspring.org, you can find a daily quote from Aaron, and these are probably the most important messages that I receive that lift me up. We have freedom to choose our emotional moods and attitude. And that to me is the greatest gift of our spiritual life, to be aware and to know that we have the freedom to choose. So when Larry, my husband, was in his last 3 or 4 days of life in 2021, I had the feeling that I should stay home from work, which I did, and I was very glad I did. I was completely alert in those days, and I don't remember being tired at all. I felt very steady. I had a real sense of expansion and peace without knowing exactly what was going to happen. And I felt like this was a very blessed time for us. Our son Alex was with us, and Larry was present, really very present in those days. And we had visitors. No one stayed very long. The night of the 17th, we had some help from hospice, which was very good. But Larry got quieter and quieter, and he died in the middle of the night on June 17th. And Alex and I stayed with his body for many hours before we had it taken away. It was a very precious time, and part of it was that I chose to be very present, and fortunately, I didn't have to. I only had to choose that once. I didn't have to keep reminding myself to show up and with my feelings. I just did it. And it was an extraordinary time, and probably one of the highlights of my life. Just very, very sacred, a very sacred time. It was painful, but I wasn't suffering. And some people say that we don't choose our pain, but we can choose to suffer or not to suffer. I didn't feel as if I was suffering. So Jack Kornfield, a Buddhist teacher, says, to be welcome, to welcome all the feelings that we have, to welcome the sadness, the pain, our own suffering. That's the way we'll get through it to the spiritual part of ourselves. It seems to be sometimes on the other side of our pain. We are not our pain, although we all experience it. So I read something else, or heard something else, just in the last few days when I was working on this, and I forgot what it was. It was something about being present with our pain. But here's a quote from Matthew Hussey, and I don't know who he is. I just found this online, as I find a lot of stuff online. This wonderful quote: "You are not broken. You are in pain, and pain passes. In fact, it doesn't just pass. It leaves you with superpowers you didn't have before, a knowledge of how strong you can be, a new depth of character, an ability to relate to more people in life, an increased empathy, and a fearlessness that comes from knowing that the last thing that felt like dying didn't actually kill you." And I'll finish with a quote from Mother Teresa. "There is a light in this world, a healing spirit more powerful than any darkness we may encounter. We sometimes lose sight of this force when there is suffering, too much pain. Then suddenly, the Spirit will emerge through the lives of ordinary people who hear a call and answer in extraordinary ways. Namaste.